Hello all, today we are industrialists building the nation of post-colonial India in the game Tycoon India 1981. You'll be using your wealth and promoters to dominate industrial sectors, build plants, sway national policies as you become a tycoon and maximise asset values and influence for the win. Now this one's medium to heavy complexity, plays 1 to 4, takes in the region of 60 to 118 minutes, and we have the designer and publisher there as well. Now this copy provided is a preview with improved production quality and artwork upgrades expected, and there's also a link in the description to the funding campaign. Let's take a closer look. For today's overview, I've got a free player setup. Now there is a lot to go through here, but I will hopefully get there, and hopefully I won't speak too fast. So what have we got then? We've got India here. We've got this kind of path that goes all the way around, you know, anti-clockwise, clockwise. It's all connected to these various cities, and you'll be building these plants out there to get bonuses and to meet certain influence requirements for the end of the game. You've got these various areas as well. You've got the north, which is kind of divided of this line here. You've then got your east, you've got your south, and you've got your west, and that's important because there's certain benefits you can attain, and there's metro cities here which have double lines, and depending on how far you're building away from them, if your industry requires certain resources, it'll cost you more. You've got this tracks here. You've got 6 tracks, different sectors. You're going up and getting bonuses, and you're becoming the industry leader on those tracks to depend on who pays you what money. You've got the actions over here, 6 actions. You've got various areas you can store your promoters, and these are these things here which will develop the strength of what strategic actions you can take down here. And we got the rounds. So this game will play 7 rounds, and then you finish it off there with some revenue and dividends and score up. We've got policy cards you can hopefully attain and get stronger politics action, which gives you various benefits. We've got industry cards you can attain and get asset values, and we've got some end game stuff here as well. So to begin with then, players are going to have decided who's the tycoon player, and it's important being tycoon because you get an extra action. You normally only take 2. Tycoon player gets to take 3 though, but they have to be different actions. So first thing, the tycoon player is going to determine which region this pawn is going to go in. So let's say they go to the west. Any plants in there are going to trigger, and they're all going to get 5 money. It doesn't matter if it's you, your opponents, that is going to get 5 money, and you have to move it to a different spot. So if we moved it to here, anyone in the north is going to get 1 influence, which is tracked around here. So yep, they're going to pick a region. Let's say they go here. Yellow gets 5, blue gets 5, they're done. Now that is determining the metro city. So as I said, you've got these 4 metro cities. In this particular round, Bombay is the metro city, and we'll hopefully get a chance to show you what that means. So that is the new region done. Number 2, we do the round event. Now this differs from the round. So if it's on this P here, you are going to be bidding a closed bid for one of these policy cards. If it is on one of these revenue or NP, you're going to get revenue from the industries you've built. You're going to be paying out dividends, and you're going to get a chance to do this national project, which is basically where you're spending promoters or money, combination of how much you want depending on which round, to attain influence and favour as well. But let's just say we're in a policy bidding round, so everyone is going to have a closed hand reveal. Whoever has the most of these promoters they've spent will attain one of these cards, and these cards you can see are closer up here. They are going to give you a stronger politics action. So when you do politics, which is at the top of the board over here later on, you're going to trigger these cards that you've attained. So you get 2 promoters in that case. Some of them give you end game bonuses. They've got a bit of flavour text at the bottom, and favour as well for the end of the game, which is important. Some give you passive benefits. So this is your opportunity to attain one of these cards. Okay, so let's say the yellow player won. They pay their promoters to the current tycoon player. If you are the tycoon player, then it just goes to the supply. Job done. Take one of these, restock that, and that was the round event. Now let's say if it was on this particular round, rather than doing a policy bidding at this particular round event, you would get revenue. So let's say you'd acquired 2 of these industries here in your portfolio. You're going to get paid out 15 for this one and 30 there. Great stuff. So you take your money, and then if any player has purchased your shares, so let's say at the beginning of the game, yellow here is going to have a stack of their shares shares on there. They'll all be stacked up in descending order. I've kind of got them all messed up here. So they'll work their way from 30 all the way down to 70. Now, if you have been purchasing, say, a combination of blue and green shares, you know, you bought one of their blue, bought one of their green, you are going to get dividends now. So blue's going to have to pay you $10 and green's going to have to pay you $10. And it's always $10 per one. And when you acquire these, it's great because it gets you more influence as well, which I'll go through on the action. So yeah, that is what happens here. And you also get a chance to contribute to their national projects, spend promoters, spend money, and get that boost on influence and favour as well. So that is the various round events. So next thing, number 3, is industry bidding. With an open bid, you can see the track here. Now, let's say the Tycoon player is going to go first. Let's say it was yellow. So they look at the minimum asset value, which is 20. So the opening bid is going to start on 20. Let's say they go 40. Clockwise order. Green goes 60. Blue goes 65. Yellow goes 70. Green's like, I'm passing. Blue's like, do I go for 75 or do I stay at 65? Now, 2 things to consider. You go around clockwise bidding, starting with the Tycoon player, but you only get 2 chances to bid. So that blue player or the yellow player, once they've taken their second bid, that is it. The other players have an opportunity to take over them. And the player who has the highest bid in this round will be the Tycoon for the next round. So bear that in mind. So blues are thinking, right, do I stick at 65 or do I go to 75 and I get first dibs on one of these and I'll be Tycoon player, which is massive because they get the extra action as well, because you normally get 2. Tycoon player is special, they get 3. So blues up here. So these 2 players would bid, that would pay their money to the supply. The player who, if you weren't one of the top 2, you would not pay your money. Instead, you get a sort of compensation of free promoters over to your colour strategy pool over here. So green, they didn't win one of these, but they get promoted instead. So blue, first dibs. What are they looking at here? So you can see these cards are going to give you a combination of benefits. So you go up on the various track here, one of these, you get various influence, you got various revenue obtained from those rounds, and asset value, which I'll go through at the end of the game. The more asset value, the better. And you got the cost. So these guys are going to have to spend power to develop this. And you can see aggro and you can see fuel as well. So let's just say they take this card here, add it to their portfolio, and they place one of their plants on it. It is unbuilt for now. They need to do an action later on to build it. Yellows go for this one. You then replenish these. The one that didn't have one on gets one of these promoters to encourage that to be purchased on future rounds. Done. That is industry bidding. And remember your compensation if you didn't win. Next thing is actions then. So the Tycoon player is going to do one of their 3 actions, and they're going to be first. So let's say they are going to go to build. So they take the industry they've just purchased, if they have one. If they didn't, then they just leave that action. And yellows are going to build this on the map. So firstly, they've got these costs to pay. So they look at the relevant resource. They need this one here, aggro, and it says 2 per sector level. No one's there, so it's only 1 times the 2. They pay 2 money to the supply. Now let's say you were the industry leader, you were in green here. That player, yellow, is going to have to pay you 2 per level. 1, 2, 3, 4 levels times a 2 is 8 money the yellow player pays you. So going up these tracks is advantageous in terms of these particular 3 are 2 per level, 1 per distance from the regional metro, which I'll go through in a minute. So they pay the costs. They then go up 1 on the particular benefit there. So yellows are going up 1 on this track. They're gaining 9 influence, so they go around the side here. And depending on where they put it, let's say they place it on this one, you get the benefit below. So they're going to get a bump up on the power, or if they haven't even gotten that track, they start the track. You then get the regional benefit. So relevant to where this pawn is, it's in the east, they're going to get 1 promoter. So 4 benefits, 1, 2, 3 for the location and 4 for the region. They have owned this card now, which is great because it's going to give them revenue and asset value for the end of the game. So that's build then. Now you go clockwise, you do 1 action at a time until you're out of actions, and you can do you have to do different actions. So let's say green goes to muster. They can't go to muster again. They're going to have to do something different. So strategy. The only way you can do an action again on the same one is when you have one of these +1 actions. So they might have attained one of these by having gone somewhere on the board, or they could go and do a strategy action to pay promoters to attain it. You can spend one of these to do the same action again. So that's quite nice. Okay, so let's say, you know, green's gone up. No, who was it? It was yellow, wasn't it? Green's up and they're going to muster. What's this action do then? So they can take between 1 and 6 of these promoters here and place them on their particular colour there. Done. They'll also take one of these merit cards, and these are great. They're one-time use only. Keep them secret. They give you maybe discounts on shares. They give you ability to pay loans back cheaper. A whole host of benefits. And I should add, the game comes with these kind of, you know, boards to cover your stuff. I've kind of got everything open on this particular game because there's so much going on. You can't even see it all in the camera view, but you'd have those keeping your money secret, your favourite tokens secret. The only thing you have to keep visible are your number of shares you've got and the price of the cheapest one and your opponent's shares there for dividends. So where were we? We've done muster. That's how you're going to get your promoters out here. Now your managers, your workers, they're going to be working hard for you. We've done build. Share then. You literally purchase a share from one of your opponents. You never buy your own shares there. With nothing at the end as well. You buy your opponent's share, you flip it over. So let's say you buy a yellow one. You pay the cost of the cheapest one, flip it over, you gain 2 influence for each share you've purchased. So you have 2 on this track. Let's say you bought another share of any other player on a future round, you're going to get 2 influence for this and 2 influence for that as well, so 4. So that is shares. Politics then, so we were retaining those policy cards earlier, and basically you're going to get all your policy cards together, and these little politics ones at the top, you're going to get 2 promoters, you're going to get 2 up on influence and another 2 up on influence. So the more you acquire and set collect, the more you build your tableau of these cards, the more powerful this politics action is going to be. We'll come back to strategy. Loan then. That loan is where you are going to take one of these promissory notes. You are going to get the money dependent on where you are on this track. If you're nowhere on the track, you're going to get the default of 30. If you've worked hard to get up here, these guys, the Blues, are going to get 55 money. So it depends how invested you are in the finance sector. But if you do take a loan, it reminds you here, you will then go up 1 on this track. So Greens take a loan, for example, they get 30 money and then they go up. So on future rounds, you're going to get more money for loans and more asset value for the end of the game. So that is the 5 actions. The last one is strategy. So this is where you can spend your promoters here to do a host of actions here. So what have we got? 2 administration ones. You don't actually need to spend one of your shares, and I'll make sense of that in a moment. So here you can spend 2 of these promoters to get that +1 action, which is great because you can do another action again or save it for future rounds. You can spend 2 promoters here to buy one of these at double the asset value. So if you buy this one, you know, you missed out on the auction here, you can pay 70 times 2 is 140. It can be expensive, it can be cheap if you get some of those cheap ones, and you get a little benefit of 10 money or 2 influence. These you can spend promoters to get money. You can go here to retain policy cards, which is great if you missed out on the bidding. You can go here to place one of your plants out on the board, gain the benefit of the area sector, job done. Now these particular spots, every time you do it, you have to put your share, turn it upside down and fill one of these spots as well. So it's making your shares more expensive and it's blocking these out, and they stay there for the game. So, you know, if all these 3 spots are gone, no one else can do them. This row here is all about spending promoters to get influence, and this one is about spending to go up on these tracks. So that is the strategy actions. At any point, you can do an emergency loan. You're getting 25 money and you take one of these loans and you can only have up to 10 there. And you have to pay those back only at the end of the game. If you don't, there's some negatives. So, yeah, once everyone's done their actions, you're going to move up around, take your actions back, determine who the new Tycoon player is. You play out to 7 rounds, boom. At the very end, you're going to do another revenue and dividend round, and then you are scoring. So what have you been working hard for all this game? So to be the Tycoon, then, you can see here, you're going to add up all of the asset values for the industry. So this particular sector, we're figuring out asset values. And whoever, and only one of you, is going to win this sector. You're then going to figure out influence, and only one of you can win this sector. If one player wins both, it's an instant win, you've won. If it's a tie, one player's won this, another player's won this, it comes down to favour. So what are we doing then? First thing we have is industries. So you're going to get all those industries that you've managed to build, and you're going to add up all these asset values. Whoever has the highest portfolio has the highest share value. So you'd add up your asset values, and then you are going to allocate the shares that people have been buying. So let's say the blue player had, 10 of these industries and they're worth like 500 asset value. Great. The blue player's done really well. They've got 500 in asset value. But the yellow player's been sneaky. They've been buying the blue shares as they've been going throughout the game. So each one of these shares is worth 60 asset value for the company it was first, and you can see it goes in descending order. So you figure out your asset values from them. You're then going to get asset value depending on the finance track and the transportation track. You are going to get merit cards if you've kept any to get value, and you're going to lose asset value if you have not been able to pay these loans off as well. It's 50 reduction in asset value. So you work out the total, see who the winner of that section is. Next up then, we are looking at the influence you can see here. So first off, you're looking at where you landed on the track around here. Boom, add it on. Planning commission cards. So some of these, you're working throughout the game. Whoever has the most promoters left in their strategy pool gets, the highest gets 15. So you've got some nice end game bonuses. You work those out and you get influence for them. Next up, you've got industrial policies. These ones, some of them have end game bonuses, 3 per different sector there. You're then going to get a minus if you didn't pay that loan off. You add up all them, whoever is the winner of influence, and if it's a tie, so one player's won that, one that, you go down to favour. Now favour, you may have been acquiring these sort of tokens here throughout the game, 1s and 3s. You're going to add up all those. You're going to add up the favour from your endgame sectors here, so they'd have been randomly chosen, and depending on how far you got up here, so the blue player has gone up how many levels? 1, 2, 3, 4 favour, and you look at those various sectors and you score them as well. Policies, you can see there's favour on the policy cards you've acquired, and you'll have been dealt one of these corporate agenda cards at the beginning of the game, and there's certain things, each of you have different cards to try and attain different ways of getting favour. So favour is all about breaking the tie. Whichever one of these two players has the most favour has won the game. So even if you're like second place on asset value, it's worth nothing. So it really differentiates your strategies you're going throughout the game. If you know you're doing poorly at asset value, or you're just going to go all about the influence maybe. So that is the game, folks. Now, what have we got? We've got a few sector tracks here. You've got finances. You're going to go up. You're going to get better loans, more money for doing a loan, more asset value as well. There's bonuses at the top. You've got one track about the minerals, getting more promoters. You've got the fuel, which gets you more money. The agro, which gets you loads of merit cards. You've got the power, loads of influence, and the transportation, which gets you various bits. Now, I did say to you I'd show you how the benefits work for energy in the metro city. So let's just say the Tycoon went here this round, and the green player wants to really build in this particular spot here. They want to get loads of influence. So to pay for this card then, to build there, they're going to have to pay power. And the current leader in that industry is yellow. So they're going to get 1 per distance, but it says here, from the regional metro. Now it's in the west, and it's got the double line, which is Bombay. So you count the distance from where you want to build, including the spot, to where the metro city is. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they're going to be paying 5 money to that player. And you can see the higher up you get in various sectors, the more money you are getting. And that applies equally to the transportation. It reminds you all on the track there. And that is it, folks. Tycoon India 1981. Enjoy.